Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing the recent nerf to Frosty K on the public test realm. And the reason why we need to talk about this right now is in 3 days, the pre-patch for Battle for Azeroth is going to be launched, and this is going to be what we're stuck with. Now, I don't know what kind of Kool-Aid the Blizzard devs obviously were thinking to come up and nerf a middle of the class spec when it comes to both dueling, PvE, and when it comes to self-healing, we're definitely on the lower scale compared to the majority of classes, so I really don't know what is going through their heads. So in this video, we're going to jump into details. First up, starting off with the change, we're going to be discussing the Might of the Frozen Waste nerf. Now, this ability used to increase our obliterate damage with a two-hander by 35%, has now been decreased down to 30%. We did not need a damage nerf on the PTR, and if we're going to be spending, what, a month, 2 months here on the PTR as Shadowlands getting delayed, I would really not like the only thing we have going for us to be completely nerfed into not being usable. Considering that our Death Strike healing has already been reduced, the only thing that we really have is some kind of burst pressure to try and just give us a little bit of time on the target, hopefully get off quite a bit of damage on them, and then simply go back to playing defensive. And without that, we almost have nothing on the PTR. Every class on the PTR is not only better at everything else, but they are stronger than us. We got to look at Shadow Priest healing. Shadow Priest can heal so much that our damage before the nerf couldn't DPS through their self-survivability, even if they were getting kicked, even if they were getting outplayed. And it's absolutely ridiculous to see this. Our Death Strike healing is not strong enough to get us to that next point in the duel where we can even make it anywhere past their first dispersion. It is actually insane that this is happening. Don't make me even start about Ret Paladins, their Wog healing them from 20% up to 100%. And even then, a good Ret Paladin was completely unbeatable to a Frosty K just off of their self-survivability alone. Now, you want to get in a little bit more details. We're talking about Templar's Verdict. We're talking about their major cooldowns. We're getting up to 14, 12, 16k burst coming off of Ret Paladins, but apparently a Frosty K hitting for a 5k obliterate during their burst cooldowns is a little bit too much. Now, Templar's Verdict's also hitting for 7, 8k, maybe even 9k sometimes, and we're sitting here doing half the pressure with not even a remote vicinity of the healing that they have, and we're supposed to be competitive in a 1v1 situation. Like, these nerfs are actually insane to me, and I've done thousands of duels on the PTR. I've also talked to other DKs that I've seen on here that I've seen day after day out here dueling, pushing themselves, and they say this nerf is actually insane seeing this. And this is just like the tip of the iceberg of what we're looking at. Now, the next thing we're going to have to talk about is just obliterate nerf in general, which is crazy to see since it already happened. We went from what, 86 scaling off of attack power down to 73.5, and now they're nerfing it down to 66.2. And they're also nerfing dual wield, so not only is this a nerf to our PvP spec, but it's going to be also a nerf to the breath spec. This is actually kind of crazy to me. Now, I didn't do too much research on the PvE side, and if this did have anything to do with that, I would assume that somewhere along the lines it has something to do with PvE. And being as it may, maybe the issue is we have too many alternate damage sources to give us a lot of pressure, and that's why we're having a base damage nerf, which is what we didn't want to begin with, Blizzard. We don't want to have a ton of damage coming out with our dragon. Even though we like Frostworm's Fury, we would rather have that burst damage pressure in our obliterate. I really don't understand what even made this move happen. Like, why this even was thought about, considering they also have nerfed down our Death Strike to be almost useless in the majority of fights. And let's not even talk about taking away weapon swapping, because that was one of the only viable ways that you could even act like you were competing with some of these other classes, which is just crazy to say. And next up, we got Pillar of Frost. Now, I'm actually kind of just like looking at this like I can't believe that they also did this. Pillar of Frost increases your strength by 10%, which it says 20%, and then you throw it up and it still says 20%. So I'm assuming they are talking about PvP instances where it is a reduced. Yeah, it's still increasing. Actually, it just reduced there. Where it's a bit more reduced, I don't actually know what's going on with that. If that's nerfed down to 10%, What exactly is going on there? I assume it's supposed to be like 20% or something like that, but realistically it looks like the changes occurring with this is it's being nerfed from 15 seconds down to 12 seconds, which again, we did not need a damage nerf. I don't understand if this is a PvE balance, and realistically, I don't understand why they would be even trying to even remotely focus on PvE balance during pre-patch, being that it doesn't have any major reflection on beta. And if we're going to go into that kind of conversation to talk about maybe these balancing things are because they're trying to balance Frost Decay and beta, which absolutely blows my mind again, because we are not even remotely one of the hardest hitting classes in beta. We are not remotely one of the strongest hitting classes in beta, as we saw in the video I posted yesterday that a rogue opened up, killed somebody right off the opener using the overpowered broken trinkets that obviously they're not focusing on yet, but definitely needs majorly fixed over something as small as this. Blows my mind. Not to mention we've got arcane mages fully capable of hitting above 50k and one-shotting people in arena, but a Death Knight hitting for 4k on an Obliterate is a little bit too much. Now let's go ahead and go out and hit on this DPS dummy for a second so you see exactly what I'm talking about, guys. Now before, my largest Obliterates before any of the nerfs was about 5.5k, and that felt fairly good. It felt fairly strong. It felt like I had some kind of niche where I could burst on somebody, put enough forward pressure during a burst to actually feel like I'm fighting the class. But being that they've reduced it this far, I really don't even feel like PTR is going to be enjoyable if these stay solid through PTR. Frost DK is not going to be fun in dueling or PvP. And this is just crazy to me that they're doing this. Like, can you imagine if it's a completely dead spec until Shadowlands, because the majority of like the damage buffs we'll be granting in Shadowlands require level 52 and 58? The only way that they could reduce damage this much and still make us viable and fun to play during pre-patch would be to give us the mastery scaling on our obliterates, would be to give us the 20% of extra obliterate damage. And it just blows my mind to see them do this. Not only did they nerf Pillar of Frost from 15 seconds to 12 seconds, but they also changed the base cooldown to a minute-long cooldown, applying a massive nerf. I wouldn't say massive, 15 seconds, it doesn't really feel massive, but it is massive enough to cause major effects in PvP. It is a big nerf to Ice Cap. It does line up a little bit with Breath of Sindragosa, but unless you're PvEing, no one really needs to care about that one. So Ice Cap, how does that nerf Ice Cap? It reduces the remaining cooldown of Pillar of Frost by 4 seconds, which just makes it a longer cooldown. Like, even if you're reducing the major cooldown, it's just going to take longer. You're going to have to get more crits to grant yourself pillars to make it to the next burst to increase your overall damage. Which realistically, to me, doesn't make any sense at all, being that they actually buffed Ice Cap from, what, 3 seconds to 4 seconds? So why would you make the cooldown faster while also buffing the overall time of Pillar of Frost? It's like, you're like, I want to do this, but maybe we should do this too. Like, it isn't an attempt to obviously nerf two-handed Frost at this point, because on the PTR, we don't need it. And the funny thing is, apparently these aren't applied to the beta at the moment, so we can't really argue that this is beta balancing. And it makes absolutely no sense why this is occurring. And I really just want to kind of make this video and discuss what exactly is going on, because this is bad. Like, this is terrible. Like, why would this be happening? It absolutely makes no sense to me after dueling out there for as long as I have, that this makes any sense at all. And it's really baffling to me. Like, guys, you guys should be angry about this. Like, we should be all over the forums, making some posts, telling them devs exactly what we think. Let's go ahead and hit this dummy real quick. Now, I used to be popping off like 5k crits, 4k crits, even some 3k kits. And now when I go in on target, now just look at base damage obliterate on the PTR. That is 520 damage. 500 damage. My Innoxiable Assault proc is critting, and it's hitting harder than my Obliterate. Should we just name it Oticklate at this point? We're just tickling the target. We've got 20-something K health. The amount of Obliterates it would take to actually kill a target or do damage to scare anybody at this point would actually be a lot. Now I'm going to go ahead and blow some cooldowns on this guy. I'm even going to throw up Blood of the Enemy. And I should maybe be able to reach 3k, which is less than 50% of what I've seen other classes bursting for here on the PTR. So let's go ahead and throw that up on the target. Let's have some fun with this. Heck, let's even try to get ourselves a strength proc, and the strength proc's obviously nerfed inside PvP. And we're going to go ahead and throw up our pillar first, and then we're just going to go ahead and go straight into our burst. And for some reason, pillar strength is increasing strength by 13%. Like, what is going on with pillar here on the PTR? Is this thing even functioning correctly? So let's go ahead and throw up some burst here. And our big obliterate is 2.1k, 2.3k. Our big obliterate is 1.4k. These are absolutely baby numbers. Like, are they completely trying to kill a two-handed frost at this point? Or are you just like, here, we're gonna give you two-handed frost so you guys can act like you enjoy it? The community comes out and says, obviously we want two-handed frost, we want to be able to enjoy our PvP, we want to be able to enjoy the game again. And instead they're just like, nah, I don't know, guys, you're gonna have to wait until actual Shadowlands to be able to enjoy two-handed frost. You're gonna have to wait to get these talents that make your class viable, but in the meantime we're gonna make the other classes really strong, and you're just gonna have to get canned for a month, 2 months on end while we delay Shadowlands, and you have to suffer through this pre-patch where Frosty K is absolutely nerfed. And that's where I'm sitting, guys. I am pretty mad after waking up and reading it. I'm angry, guys. Like, you guys should be posting about this. You guys should be yelling about this, throwing chairs, throwing cookies. I don't even know what to say at this point, guys, but I hope you guys, I mean, I guess you guys wouldn't really enjoy this video. It's not very positive of a video, but it definitely needed to be talked about, and it definitely needs to change, because this is crap. I mean, guys, this is crap. This is a big pile of stinky crap, all right? So I hope you guys did maybe kind of, I don't know, like or something. I don't know. Maybe comment. I don't even know what to say about that. Anyways, till next time, guys, this was your boy Hazzed.